सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। So in the sacred book of hymns we will chant the full Guru Stotram and then continue our next chanting. Guru Stotram is on 42, I think. Yeah. Akhanda mandala akaram vyaptam yena characharam tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Ajnanatimmirandhasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्न विराजितपदाम्बुजः वेदान्ताम्बुजसूर्यो यः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यशाश्वतशान्तो व्योमातीतो निरञ्जनः बिन्दुनादकलातीतः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढः तत्त्वमालाविभूषितः भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्त कर्मबन्धविदाहिने आत्मज्ञानप्रदानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः गुरोपादोदकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मन्नाथ श्रीजगन्नाथः मद्गुरुः श्रीजगद्गुरुः मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुरादिरनादिश्च गुरुपरमदैवतं गुरोः परतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधि साक्षिभूतं
त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं
त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं गुरुदेवदेव. After daily prayers, we have done the Shanti part also, and then now on page 6, the Mahamrityunjay mantra. So the Vedic intonations, you remember, the line above means the swara has to be taken up. A horizontal line below means the swara has to go down. And two lines above means that vowel has to be elongated. So the up is called Udatta, lower one is called Anudatta, and two lines are called Pluta. Now when we chant in the intonations, then the vibrations also produced are different. And it keeps the mind also more alert. So let us chant. So you listen once and repeat twice. So the Mahamrityunjaya mantra is found in the Rudram portion in the Yajur Veda. So it's a Vedic mantra, and that's why they will have intonations. Om Triambakam Yajamahe
त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे
Sugandhim Pushtivardanam
सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम्
Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam
त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम्
Urvarukamiva Bandhanan
उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान्
Mrityormukshiyamamritaat
मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्
It is not mokshiya, it is mukshiya. Mrityormukshiya. Most people say moksh, not mokshiya, mukshiya. Mrityormukshiyamamritaat Urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamritaat
उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्
Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritaat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamritaat. So it is Triambakam, not Trayambakam. Triya, half tra is there, see. So this mantra means what? I worship Yajamahe. Whom? The three-eyed Lord, Triambakam, Lord Shiva. One eye is the eye of compassion, one eye is the eye of karma, means objectivity. Bhagavan is the karma phaladata, and one eye is the eye of intuitive self-knowledge. So the Lord looks at the whole world with with two eyes, eye of compassion and objectivity, and the third eye is the eye of Brahmagnan. So when it opens, avidya and everything is destroyed. So I worship that Lord, Sugandhim, who is most fragrant, because of whom there is life in this body. Pushtivardhanam, who nourishes, nurtures us. Urvarukamiva bandhanat, just like a cucumber detaches itself from the creeper when it is ripe, very effortlessly it will drop. In that way, mrityoho mukshiya, liberate me from this fear of death as effortlessly, meaning I should drop the body as effortlessly, I should get out of this fear completely, that I am the body. Then ma amritat, may I not neglect my immortality. So this mantra is chanted for many different reasons. Depending on which one I focus on, that much more benefit I get. Suppose I focus on Pushti Vardhanam, then it is for health. I focus on Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiya, then it is to fear of death. Get out of that fear of death. If I focus on Ma Amritat, meaning intensify my quest for moksha. So while chanting, what is the intention? That will determine the result. Now the Gayatri Mantra. So this Gayatri Mantra also is a Vedic mantra found in the earliest Veda is the Rig Veda. It is there in other Vedas also. Now, again this is the intonations. A lot of people chant this with very musical way. If we want the vibrations to come and to make our mind single pointed, sharp, etc., then we need to chant in the proper intonation. So the mantra proper starts from Tatsavitur Varenyam. Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha. They are three special syllables. They are called Vyahritis. And they are added to this mantra. The main mantra is Tatsavitur. So the Gayatri mantra is actually called Savitra mantra. This is a mantra dedicated to Lord Sun, Surya Devata. It is written in a meter called Gayatri. So that meter has 24 syllables. And being the most popular mantra in the Gayatri meter, this mantra is called today Gayatri mantra. Is actually Savitra mantra, because Gayatri mantra is there for all the deities. Like Lord Shiva's Gayatri mantra is Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. That is the Shiva Gayatri. Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. That is the Vishnu Gayatri. Like that, there is Gayatri mantra for all the deities. This is Savitra Gayatri, and all those mantras are written in the Gayatri meter. So that we should not forget that Gayatri is the meter, and this is the mantra dedicated to Surya Devata. So let us read. Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha. Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha. Va has to go down. Bhur Bhuvassuvaha. Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha. Tatsavitur Varenyam Tatsavitur Varenyam भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि
धियो यो नः
धियो यो नः धियो यो नः
प्रचोदयात्
प्रचोदयात् प्रचोदयात्
धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्
धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्
ॐ भूर्भुवः सुवः
ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि
धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्
धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्
So one thing we have to focus on while chanting is dha has to be pronounced as dha. Most of the time it is the. Om bhurbhuvassuvaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi. So ba and bha and the and dha. Generally one says bhurbhuvassuvaha. Bhurbhuvassuvaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo, not bhargo. Bhargo devasya dhimahi, not dhimahi. Then dha, then again dhiyo yona, not diyo yona. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. So that is called mahaprana. Bha, dha. Those are where the air goes out. Okay. So these two mantras, this one we'll chant together full. Om bhurbhuvassuvaha तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्. So we have done some of the Guru Shishya Parampara shlokas already. We come to the Ganapati Stotram, page 12. Next week we have the Ganesh Chaturthi, so we can learn some of these. 4 shlokas are here. These are general shlokas on Lord Ganesha, taken from different places. अगजानन पद्मार्कम् गजाननम् अहर्निशम् अनेकदं तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तम् उपास्महे. Together. अगजानन पद्मार्कम् अननम् अहर्निशम् अनेकदं तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तम् उपास्महे. शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुम् शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजम् प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. Together. शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं Prasannavadanam dhyayet sarvavighnopashantaye. Many people think that this is a shloka for Vishnu Bhagavan. And the beginning of the puja, generally one chants this. Because the word Vishnu comes here, no, they think it is Vishnu Bhagavan. It's actually Ganpati shloka. Because Sarva Vighnopashantaye specifically. Generally, you can apply to Vishnu also if one wants, but specifically it is Sarva Vighnopashantaye, so it is for Ganesha. And Ganeshji has four hands. He is fair in color. So, next one. Shukla is fair, white. Krishna is dark, Shukla is white. So we have in the Hindu calendar also Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha, bright fortnight and the dark fortnight. The next shloka is used in many wedding cards, but they will sprinkle Visarga just like that wherever they like. So they will write Vakratunda Mahakayah Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Devaha Sarvakareshu Sarvadaha. You cannot add Visarga like that. This is written in this is a vocative case, you can't say. So it is He Vakratunda, He Mahakaya, it is like that. It's like saying, Oh Ram. It's like vocative, no? Sambodhan Vibhakti it is. So, Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Together. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Gajananam Bhutaganadhisevitam Kapitthajambu Phalasara Bhakshakam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Together. Gajananam Bhutaganadhisevitam Kapitthajambu Phalasara Bhakshakam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Okay, one more we will do is this Ganesha Pancharatnam. This is on page 13. So Shankaracharya ji wrote this 5 verses, very nice melodious tune. Mudakarata modakam Sada vimukti sadhakam Kaladharavatamsakam Vilasilokarakshakam Anayakaikanayakam Vinashite bhadaityakam Natashubhashunashakam Namamitam vinayakam Natetarati bhikaram Navoditarkabhaswaram Namatsurari nirjaram Natadhikapaduddharam Sureshwaram nidhishwaram Gajeshwaram ganeshwaram Maheshwaram tamashraye Paratparam nirantaram Samastaloka shankaram निरस्तदैत्यकुञ्जरम्
निरस्तदैत्यकुञ्जरम्
दरेतरोदरम्बरम्
दरेतरोदरम्बरम्
वरे भवक्त्रमक्षरम्
वरेभवक्त्रमक्षरम्
कृपाकरं क्षमाकरम्
कृपाकरम् क्षमाकरम्
मुदाकरं यशस्करम्
मुदाकरम् यशस्करम्
मनस्करं नमस्कृताम्
मनस्करम् नमस्कृताम्
नमस्करोमि भास्वरम्
नमस्करोमि भास्वरम्
अकिञ्चनार्तिमार्जनम्
अकिञ्चनार्तिमार्जनम्
चिरन्तनोक्तिभाजनम्
चिरन्तनोक्तिभाजनम्
पुरारिपूर्वनन्दनम्
पुरारिपूर्वनन्दनम्
सुरारिगर्वचर्वणम्
सुरारिगर्वशर्वणम्
प्रपञ्चनाशभीषणम्
प्रपञ्चनाशभीषणम्
धनञ्जयादिभूषणम्
धनञ्जयादिभूषणम्
कपोलदानवारणम्
कपोलदानवारणम्
भजे पुराणवारणम्
भजे पुराणवारणम्
नितान्तकान्तदन्तकान्ति
नितान्तकान्तदन्तकान्ति
मन्तकान्तकात्मजम्
अन्तकान्तकात्मजम्
अचिन्त्यरूपमन्तहीन
अचिन्त्यरूपमन्तहीन
मन्तराय कृन्तनम्
मन्तराय कृन्तनम्
हृदन्तरे निरन्तरम्
निरन्तरे निरन्तरम्
वसन्तमेव योगिनाम्
वसन्तमेव योगिनाम्
तमेकदन्तमेव तम्
तमेकदन्तमेव तम्
विचिन्तयामि सन्ततम्
विचिन्तयामि सन्ततम्
महागणेश पञ्चरत्न
महागणेश पञ्चरत्न
मादरेण योन्वहम्
मादरेण योन्वहम्
प्रजल्पति प्रभातके
प्रजल्पति प्रभातके
हृदि स्मरन् गणेश्वरम्
विस्मरन् गणेश्वरम्
अरोगतामदोषताम्
अरोगतामदोषताम्
सुसाहितीं सुपुत्रताम्
सुवासितीं सुपुत्रताम्
समाहितायुरष्टभूति
समाहितायुरष्टभूति
मभ्युपैति सोचिरात्
अभ्युपैति सोचिरात्
समाहितायुरष्टभूतिमभ्युपैति सोचिरात्
समाहितायुरष्टभूतिमभ्युपैति सोचिरात्
बोलिए सिद्धिविनायक स्वामी की जय. Surya Koti. Both are there. Koti Surya, Surya Koti. Both versions are there. You can say whichever, no problem. Sanskrit, sometimes this arrangement of alphabets is such that it won't make a difference. It means also the same. And in the meter also, Surya, Koti, Koti, Surya can be interchanged. No problem. In some places you cannot interchange. The meter will get disturbed. Here there is no problem. Either ways you can do. Like even this Karagre Vasate Lakshmi is like that. Karagre Vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhe Saraswati, Karamule tu Govinda. Or Karagre Vasate Lakshmi, Karamule Saraswati, Karamadhe tu Govinda. Both versions are there. Wherever you want. There Bhagwan is flexible. Saraswati ji goes in the Mula, Govinda comes in the center, or Saraswati comes in the center, Govinda goes below. They don't have a position problem. मुझे ऊपर रख दिया, उनको नीचे भेज दिया. Human being has all the problems. Bhagavan is okay. So 11th chapter is what we were doing. And we saw the vasanas create the division between the subjective mind and the objective mind. Subjective mind is the buddhi, objective mind is the manas. And the greater the vasana layer in between, what we know and how we live, there will be a gap. So When we act in such a way that we dedicate our actions to the Lord, to a higher purpose, then this vasana layer in between goes. Instead of adding more through every action, we learn to exhaust the existing tendencies and not create new ones. What will happen with that? This ego becomes lesser and lesser. Ultimately, that boundary of ego completely dissolves and person becomes one with the infinite. Now, that much we saw last time. Today, we will see microcosm and the macrocosm. So, who is the individual? The equipment is the body, mind, and intellect. With the body, we perceive, with the mind, we feel, with the intellect, we think. But all these three by themselves are inert. They don't know themselves, they don't know anything around. The definition of inert is that what doesn't know itself, what doesn't know anything around is inert. So the table doesn't know it is a table, it doesn't know anything around. It's Jada Vastu. But we know ourselves and we know around us what is happening. So plant, bird, animal, human, these are all sentient creatures. What makes the five elements? The body is made up of five elements: body, mind, intellect. What makes this body, mind, intellect function is the consciousness. So that consciousness, when it identifies with the body specifically and experiences the waking state, it is called as Vishwa. That consciousness, when it identifies with the mind and experiences the dream state, it is called Tejas. And when it identifies with the causal body, deep sleep state, it is called Prajna. Now, this Vishwa Tejas Prajna is consciousness identifying with each of these bodies: gross body, subtle body, causal body. This we have done earlier. Vishwa Tejas Prajna we have done earlier. That is the microcosm. And this microcosm, these three states is what we generally go through: waking, dream, waking, deep sleep. We keep coming into all these three states. But there is a fourth state of consciousness that is called Turiya, which is when we transcend the identification with the body, mind, intellect, we experience that state in contemplation. That state is actually called meditation, where I am effortlessly aware that my nature is pure consciousness. I am not this body, mind, intellect at all. It is called fourth because when we transcend the three is when we experience. It is not a separate state of awareness. It is the base of all the other three. But called fourth only because when we transcend the three, what we experience is this state. Otherwise, you see that all the other three are exclusive. When I am in the waking state, then I am not in the dream and deep sleep. When I am in the dream, I am not in the waking and deep sleep. When I am in the deep sleep, I am not in the waking and dream. So each state excludes the other two. Turiya is not that exclusive state. It is the basis of all the three also, because consciousness is what enlivens the BMI that we just saw. That consciousness which enlivens the BMI is what is expressing through the body as the waker, through the dream as the dreamer, through the deep sleep as the deep sleeper. So it is the basis of all the three. Without the consciousness, there is no Vishwa Tejas Prajna. But when we withdraw from BMI, then that state which we experience is that state of Turiya. And that Turiya Avastha is what we seek actually. Paramananda Prapti is what we seek. Supreme happiness and bliss we want. Temporary pleasure doesn't satisfy us, so we crave for more and more and more. Because our nature is supreme bliss, Paramanand. And that is experienced when I know my nature as consciousness, which is infinite. So this consciousness which is supporting this individual is the Atma. That consciousness enlivening the individual body, mind, intellect is called as Atma, the self. But that Atma is not one small little thing inside my heart somewhere. That Atma is infinite. So the same consciousness functioning in the individual is the consciousness functioning through the whole universe. It is a substratum of the whole universe. So now what is this universe is what we have to understand also. When we say the creation, just like we have a gross body, all the other beings also have a gross body. So all the gross bodies put together is called Virat. So just like the consciousness functioning through the individual body is called Vishwa, consciousness functioning through the entire universe, all the total gross bodies is called Virat. Because just like this body cannot be functioning on its own, this whole universe, all the gross bodies and all the, you see so many things which are happening in the universe, so many seasons are there, so many planets revolve in a particular, um, speed. All those things which are happening in nature, it cannot happen just like that. There is a sentient force behind that. That consciousness is the sentient force. So we say that consciousness which enlivens the entire universe, all the gross bodies put together, is called Virat. So when our concept of macrocosm or God is not one form, people understand it like that we are idol worshippers. We are not idol worshippers. Our form, our concept of God is much more evolved. This whole universe, from idol worship, the jiva, the seeker learns to identify that the Lord in this form is the Lord pervading the whole universe. Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam. And hence what happens? Every single thing here is worshipful. Right from a stone to plant to a cow to mother, father, guest, guru, devatas, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh to formless Brahman, everything we worship here. Even inert things we worship. Vijayadashmi we worship even our sadhan, the tools, instruments. This Dhanteras we worship even wealth. So why everything is worshipful for us? Because all this is manifestation of the divine. From the Lord it came. From the totality, the supreme it came. This is a gross manifestation of the supreme. So whole universe is the Virat Rupa Bhagavan. So we don't think anything is undivine. Look at that culture of ours, such a beautiful culture. Nothing is undivine. Every single thing is divine. Inert, sentient, Akhanda Mandalakaram we chant. Akhanda means the whole universe, Mandalakaram, this entire universe. What is that which pervades? Vyaptam, Chara and Achara. Tat Padam, that consciousness, one who has made me realize. My salutations to that Guru. So that is our understanding. So consciousness functioning through the whole universe is called as Virat. So for the devotee, if 10-15 minutes or half an hour one is sitting quietly, worshipping the Lord in the form, meditating, doing japa, that is why withdrawing one is trying to realize the consciousness within, the self within. That same Lord is manifesting as this whole universe in all these names and forms. So the attitude of karma yoga continues even outside. When I am working outside, it is not that I am working, in the world outside, running behind some sense objects or trying to get some power position. Attitude of the seeker is, I am here to serve the Lord. There is a Virat Rupa Bhagavan. In our body example, if we take, one cell is like the microcosm and the whole body is the macrocosm. Can we choose? Can one cell say that, I am alone special, you all are not special? If that cell thinks like that and starts growing uncontrollably, that disease is called cancer. You will have to cut that part of the body or destroy it through whatever, chemotherapy or some other treatment. Because if that cell is not in tune with the rest of the body and that cell grows uncontrollably, finished. In the world today, every single cell is thinking like that. And yet there has to be peace and harmony in the world. How is that possible? Unless I tune myself to the universe, saying that I am, as an individual, I am a part of this whole universe and every single thing is divine and we have to work together. And as consciousness, I alone am all this. So selfishness doesn't have a role to play when I work with this attitude. Then only there is harmony. No, Swamiji, but the other people have to also have the same attitude. It begins with us always. So this is microcosm and macrocosm connection. That the individual is Vishwa, consciousness functioning through individual body is Vishwa, consciousness functioning through total gross bodies is Virat. Total gross bodies means all the minerals, all the stones, all the plants, all the animals, all the birds, all the humans, the entire Vishwa. The which is gross, which is observable, yeah. That entire universe is called tangible. That is the Virat Roop. Now the next one. This Virat Roop is a gross manifestation of something subtler. So our gross body also is manifestation of our subtle body, mind. Individual mind, consciousness enveloping the individual mind is called Tejas. Same way there is a total mind. Total mind means what? All our minds put together is one entity called total mind. That is called Hiranyagarbha. Meaning, we think that we have separate minds. Where do we have separate minds? Because we are encased in one body, no, we think we have my own mind. This is my mind, that is your mind, that is her mind, that is his mind. But there is no such thing called one, individual mind when we see the totality. That it is all one total mind. So every single thought that we think is a part of the total mind's thought. No, this is not understandable. We think that we are thinking our thoughts. It is totality expressing through one mind, individual mind. It's like this whole gross body. Again, I am coming to gross body example because simpler to understand. This entire gross body is functioning through every cell or not? In the same way, this total mind is an entity. That total mind is functioning through all these minds. If we say in language of computer, there is one server. That server has all the computers connected to it. That is called LAN. This main server is expressing through each computer. So every single thought that we think is actually a thought of the totality manifesting in our mind. Our ego simply tries to own that up, saying that this is my thought. That is not my thought, it is a thought of the divine only. Ishvara only is manifesting through this. So all the minds put together is called Hiranyagarbha. Which means what? Every single thought that I think affects the entire universe. And everything that is happening in the whole universe at the subtle level affects me. Gross level also is applicable. So today we are seeing or not. How much human being has exploited the nature. Terrible it is. I told you that day. I don't remember if I told you. Again, if I told you, doesn't matter. Repeat. 4.2 billion years the earth has been there. Some people said it's 13.2 billion years. No, sorry, 4.6 billion years or 13.2 billion years. Whatever you take. If you take 4.6 billion years, last 46 years is 1 minute in the existence of the earth. And in that 46 years, we have destroyed 50% of the forests of the earth. Which means in 1 minute of Earth's existence, 50% of its forests have been destroyed. Even recently, these Amazon forests have been on fire. They are the lungs of the world. The lungs of the world are on fire. That's why Stephen Hawking said it will be a miracle if human race survives beyond 100 years. Another 100 years if human being survives is a big job. I mean, big miracle actually. The way it is, things are going. So what we do at gross level also affects the whole universe. And what happens in the whole universe affects us. That's called Virat, total. When we say we all are one, that's what it means. You see, monsoon just now happened, no? Just on Marine Drive, the amount of garbage and plastic that the ocean threw back was how much, 50 tons. One time. 50 tons of plastic came back on the Marine Drive. Now, what all human being is doing, polluting the water, burning the forest. अब ये सब पता नहीं कम है तो अभी मार्स पे भी चले जाएंगे. Go to Mars, try to find some new place there. But just look at it. Spoil that also. So human being, when we don't have this vision of oneness, we think that the world is meant for our joy, exploitation, this thing, because the individual has no vision of the totality. If I understand this entire Vishwa, this whole universe is my body, not as an individual, but this gross body of this whole universe is my body. Virat Roop it is. And I need to take care of it. So physically also it applies, mentally also. Whatever we think affects the whole universe. Our thought is very, very powerful. And whatever is happening in the universe will affect us. See, at the physical level also, if you remember, some years back this example was there. There are many examples like that even now, I guess. But when we were in school, Iran, so this war happened in Iraq. Iraq and USA. Saddam Hussein and this war, when it happened there, they are shooting missiles there. That Scud missile and Patriot missile. They are shooting missiles there, fighting with each other. And this acid rain was happening here in Singapore. It looks no connection only, they are thousands of miles apart. But the effect of that was happening here. Physically also we are so connected. Tsunami happened somewhere and the devastation happened where? On Nagapattinam and that Tamil Nadu border. The coast. Chennai, Nagapattinam, this entire coast. Some 2003 or 4 sometime when that tsunami happened. How many people? Somewhere that earthquake happened, somewhere else the effect is there. So physically we are connected. What we do will affect so many people. Emotionally also at mental level, every single person's thought is connected to this entity called Hiranyagarbha. That Hiranyagarbha is Brahmaji. So it is like us, what we call as the master plan of the universe. The blueprint of the universe is in the total mind. If every single jiva wants violence, the world will have violence. If one wants peace, if each one wants peace, the world will have peace. No, Swami, this is not understandable still. So there is one experiment conducted. Not children, this is another experiment. I don't know which one you are referring to.
Plants or something.
No, this is a very unique experiment. So they took some monkeys from Africa and they took them to America. And there what they did, they did some physical operation on the monkeys and they changed their genes. Now if you change the genes, what will happen? some of the genes, if you change, the behavior will also change. Because some genes are connected to the behavior. Some are connected to this body, physical appearance, like that. So they change some of these genes, and these monkeys are still there in America only. This group of monkeys there in Africa separately. They didn't do anything to the monkeys in Africa. But what they found is the new monkeys who are getting born in Africa, they exhibit some of the characteristics, changed characteristics of those monkeys there in America. So how, that's what I'm saying. So what was the conclusion of that research? That there is something called universal monkey consciousness. That the behavior of these monkeys is linked to this universal monkey consciousness, and that is transferred to these monkeys who are getting born next. Like how genetically that is possible, at mental level also that is possible. See, genetically, if you see, every species keeps evolving more and more. They become more and more resistant to the nature. Like today, the mosquitoes are very resistant to, what is that, tortoise, good night, all out, repellents. No, they will go and sit on that only and tease you. I am sitting on this now. Nothing will happen to me. Don't worry. Now human being has to wonder, Abhi, now what to do next. Why? Because they have developed that immunity, and then the genes are passing on, and then the next mosquito which is coming is more resistant. Same thing applies to the children. No, the children in today's age, they are much more smarter than earlier because they are exposed to, the parents are exposed to that much, so their brain, their body, everything functions more smarter. Transfers to the child. Now what we understand at physical level is same thing happening at the mental level also. That each of us are connected. So there is a human consciousness, there is a monkey consciousness, there is a plant consciousness. That is if you want to speak in that scientific terms. Otherwise, what one says, all the minds are put together, they are connected. And so that is called Hiranyagarbha. Consciousness functioning through total mind is called Hiranyagarbha. Now both these subtle body and gross body are coming from where? The causal body. The causal body is the cause which manifests as the subtle body and further as the gross body. So just as we as an individual have a causal body, there is a total causal body also. That total causal body is sum total of all the vasanas. And that is called Ishvara. Then you may say, Swamiji, if Ishvara is total cause sum of all the vasanas and all the ignorance put together, then Ishvara must be maha ignorant. Totally ignorant will be Ishvara. Then why are we worshipping that Ishvara? No, it is not like that. The difference there is Ishvara controls the avidya and vasanas. Ishvara is not controlled by avidya and vasanas. Ishvara is much, much more than total vasanas. Ishvara is pure consciousness only. But consciousness functioning through total causal body is called Ishvara. And remember, causal body is unmanifest. That causal body manifests as desire in the intellect, thoughts in the mind, actions at the body. Same way, Ishvara is unmanifest. The first manifestation of Ishvara is Hiranyagarbha. So that is what we call as Brahmaji, the creator. So that creator then creates the whole universe. So from Brahmaji's mind, if you remember, no, they say Brahmaji created the entire universe through his mind, just by thought. That is symbolic representation of the Vedantic truth. That entire universe is there in the thought form. Then it manifests in the gross form, which happens everywhere. Whatever we achieve in our daily life, first it is there in our mind. Then it comes out externally. Now Ganpati festival will come. So Ganeshji's idol people will bring. That idol is a gross manifestation of what? The thought in the mind of the sculptor. First it is conceived in the mind, then it becomes manifest outside. So, in that same way, the total causal body expresses as the thoughts in total subtle body, which manifests as the creation, which is this total gross creation. Consciousness identified with the total causal body is called Ishvara, with the total subtle body is called Hiranyagarbha, with the total gross body is called Virat. Now, what is important to understand is that consciousness which is substratum of the whole universe, Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Ishvara, is called Brahman. Atma is the substratum of the individual. Consciousness illumining one individual is called Atma. Consciousness expressing through the whole universe totality is called Brahman. They are one only. Atma and Brahman is one, there is no difference. But when it is connected to the equipment with one individual, it is called Atma. Why it is called Atma? Because Atma word means I. Who am I? And Brahman means the biggest, Brihatvat Brahman. That which is the biggest, which is beyond space time object, that is Brahman. Now, this macrocosm and microcosm, individual and the total, are not separate from each other. See, the purpose of Vedanta is to make us aware that they are one. The individual is an expression of the total. Today we don't think like that. We think I am a separate individual. I have, world is different from me, God is different from me. Vedanta says, no, no, God, world, and you are all one. So that's why this chart you see in this book that has been given, this is there. So now you see here in this diagram here. So Vishwa, so this is the microcosm, Jiva, individual. Vishwa is the waking ego. This is Tejas, the dream ego. And this is Prajna, deep sleep ego. This is the individual. Same way, Virat is the total gross body. Ishvara is the total subtle body, causal body, and Hiranyagarbha is the total subtle body. Now, this line is when I have maximum ego, I divide myself. I am individual, separate from the universe and God. Virat is the universe, Ishvara and Hiranyagarbha is God. Now you see what is our concept of God. It's not one picture, one idol. The consciousness manifesting through the entire universe is God. It is infinite in nature. But to connect to that supreme infinite cause is difficult. Just think about it. If we have to think about Bhagavan as consciousness enlivening the total causal body, will we be able to connect? Very difficult. All the minds put together, that which is enlivening, that is Hiranyagarbha. How to conceive? Forget both these. Even the gross part, the entire world put together is Bhagavan. If I have to think, can I think? Maximum what will come in my mind is one earth, solar system, those kind of things will come in the mind. But to have the bhav that this is totality, this is Ishvara, is very difficult. Which is why the importance of a form. That through one form I can connect to that which is infinite. More of it I will come later on. Right now this is important to understand that the division which is there, when the ego is maximum, then there will be this complete distinction that this is me, that is world, I am separate from that. Microcosm, macrocosm, separate.
Now everybody does their own actions, builds their own karma, and their vasanas are different. So when we say everything is one, still each one as per their vasanas will see the results. So
Correct.
are they all like interconnected, or is it like it is just one whole thing?
It is both. At this level, when I am thinking of myself as a human being, I have an individual purushartha to do. So I am doing my karma based on my vasanas, and now I have a choice to dedicate my karma to the Lord. So that is my individual evolution. But as I grow deeper and deeper, I understand that actually there is nothing called I. There is only one consciousness which is expressing through all. So it is existing at both levels. That we all are interconnected at this level, but at a higher level, it is one manifesting as all. What is the example for that? It is like the wave and the ocean. Every single wave can look at it as I am a part of the ocean and I am connected to all the other waves. That is one level. Other level is there is only ocean which is manifesting as all the waves. There is nothing called individual wave by itself. So when I lose my sense of individuality, that's what we will come to. When we lose the sense of individuality, then we will see that one is manifesting as everything. At this point, I am identified with the individual. So then I must do the right type of actions, purify the mind, because my karma will affect me. If I act selfishly, I am increasing this divide of ego. So the more this division of ego is there, the more will be this attitude of separation. The more I surrender this ego, the ego gets surrendered, more I will see that actually there is only one manifesting as all. So there is no divisions that I am separate, you are separate, and now we are connected. That interconnected attitude is the middle step. In the beginning, I see complete difference. I am different, you are different, full, gone. Then we come to next level of understanding. No, you and I are connected. We have come from the same source, we are connected. Whichever level you bring the connection, it is at the level of individual, as we all are living beings, or we all are human beings, or we all are Indians, whatever, some level we have to connect, or seeker. So we are interconnected. So then I behave more sensitively, more selflessly, all that. As I do that, then I understand we are not just interconnected, we are expressions of only one truth. Atma in you and me is the same. At body, mind, intellect levels, we are different from each other. But the Atma is one and the same, and that one Atma is manifesting as all this. So that is the higher level. How do we come to that? Reduce the ego, which is what this sadhana is. So in the beginning, this is how it is. The first stage of evolution is this, where ego is maximum. Now the second one. In this what happens? The ego is reduced. You see that it's becoming narrower at the center. So ego has got reduced. The more the ego gets reduced, what happens? More and more that individual. So in the first level, there is lot of ego, lot of resistance. One has too much of insistence. So there will be too much of sorrow also, because that much of attachment is there. And what life brings, I cannot accept. I want it like this only. So that's what will happen. So if you see in this notes, they have given, the explanation is very beautifully given. Maximum play of ego that comes about because of total identification with the perceiver, feeler, thinker entity. I identify with my individuality so strongly that what I say must happen. What I say, if it doesn't happen, I react, I become angry, upset. So as long as one is selfish and egocentric, one experiences such a conflict between the two. And the individual personality finds the world a most resistant, competitive, difficult place to live because of my ego. Then the ego surrenders a little bit. Then what happens? In such a case, the individual lives in lesser resistance or friction to the world. There is more harmony one discovers, more acceptance, more love, more compassion, more kindness, all that. Then the third state, ego still reduces further. So now you see ego is so less, then what happens? That is the state where we say the person is knowing, is understanding oneness. So philosophy one learns So he says, a philosopher who has imbibed and assimilated the higher values of life reduces the ego to minimum and thereby lives in perfect attunement with the world outside. One recognizes that microcosm is not at all at variance with macrocosm. The difference that I and world are not only different but opposite, that difference starts vanishing. Basic minimum ego is there because it doesn't go away suddenly. So one lives more in surrender, more in acceptance, more in service. That's how the ego becomes lesser and lesser and lesser. Finally, one comes to this point where completely through contemplation, one dissolves this ego, saying, I am not the BMI, I am the pure consciousness. So, when this comes, the state of no ego, this is the state of no ego. What happens here? At this point, when there is no ego, there is no Jiva, there is no Jagat, there is no Ishvara. All the three dissolve, there is only one consciousness. That the individual realizes, which is what is given in this figure. That the center is Atman. Now you see the triangles, what have happened? Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. Vishwa, Tejas, Prajna. All the six are assembled together. There is no difference. One sees that all this is actually one. Atma is enlivening all. And I am that pure consciousness. When a jiva realizes this, that is called a state of awakening. One has realized. One doesn't see anymore oneself as a Vishwa Tejas Prajna. I am not Vishwa Tejas Prajna. If I am not Vishwa Tejas Prajna, Bhagwan also, Ishvara also is not Hiranyagarbha, Virat and Ishvara. Then what it is? There is only one Brahman. That state of realization, what will one realize? All the three are appearances of the same truth. This Vishwa Tejas Prajna is the Jiva, Virat is the Jagat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara are the God. All the three, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all are expressions of one absolute truth. There is no division, there is no difference at all. How did this happen? By continuously reducing the ego. This is a state of fulfillment that one wants to experience actually, which we don't realize that this is what I want actually. So what happens to us is we live in this first stage, maintaining the ego, and now maintaining the ego, maintaining the difference that I am different, world is different, God is different, I want maximum happiness. How is that possible? Because the jiva is so limited and it is this jiva only who is dividing. In deep sleep, this is not there. Na? Ego, the state of ego is not there in deep sleep. But ignorance is there in deep sleep, which is why I don't see the oneness. The moment I drop that ignorance consciously in the state of meditation, then what happens from here? I come straight to this. But will that happen suddenly? It won't happen. Gradually the ego has to let go. Gurudev used to give that example of a car. This car is running at a speed of, let us say, 200 kilometers per hour. Now suddenly that car, if you have to take a U-turn, at 200 kilometers per hour, can we take a U-turn? Very difficult. You cannot take only, you go and bang somewhere. One has to slow down and then take a turn. From the state of maximum ego, one day if I meditate, suddenly will I awaken? It won't happen. It's a gradual. Why? Because ego has been built so many lives. Suddenly it is not going to go. So one has to keep reducing. So those methods of how to surrender the ego are the 4 yogas: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Raja Yoga. The next chapter will tell us about that. And the philosophy is meant for that. The 6 schools of philosophy which are there, they are actually meant to reduce the ego. If I understand philosophy properly, that is what it is meant for. that the knowledge what we are getting is meant to help me to surrender this ego. As the ego becomes less and less, so through surrender of the ego, through study of the philosophy, through surrender to the Lord, through service of the world, and through self control. Through these four methods, what happens? This ego keeps reducing. So, what are the four? Study, spiritual study, surrender, service, self control. These four. If I follow these four in daily life, slowly, what will happen? This ego, which is maximum. Now, one important point to understand here is, why will I give up my ego? Suppose I don't want realization. Why should I give up ego? Is there any need? If I am not a seeker, I don't want to realize the truth. Then what is the reason why should I give up ego? One, good. So one is I want to be happy. So suppose I say I will be happy by enjoying in the world outside. Why give up ego for it?
Person who has not realized will not get happiness in dropping the ego. Maybe he might get happier in building up his egos.
Correct.
But they don't realize that.
Correct. So that's what it is. So if I want to build up more and more ego, more power, more position, more ego, more separation, how to make that person aware कि भाई give up your ego?
Your quote from yesterday, pleasure is pain in disguise.
That person is not understanding that. That person is saying you are not enjoying pleasure, that's why you are saying it. Come enjoy with me, maximum pleasure, maximum ego, maximum pleasure. Is there a simple way to make that person understand? See, if that person doesn't want to get convinced, that's a different matter. Then forget it. That in time it will take care. But what is the logic? If I don't want realization, why should I give up ego?
For peace of your own mind also.
Correct, but little more clearer we have to express that. Simple point is, the more the ego is, more the sorrow is. More the separation, more the insecurity. That's it. Maximum ego means maximum insecurity. Why? Because I am so obsessed with myself. Ego has a lot of problems. One is it brings lot of insecurity. Second, it completely blinds me. I can't even see what is the good of my own self. Selfishness blinds me only. And the near and dear ones, I don't have near and dear ones when I am so egoistic. I am obsessed with myself that I can't be sensitive to people around me. And the saddest part is when I am operating out of ego, those things to which I am attached to for my joy, I will destroy all of them. So that becomes again the cause of my own sorrow. You think about it. Dhritarashtra was stuck in his own ego. He became the cause of destruction of all his 100 children or not. If he was little bit out of his ego and he would have been able to take a objective decision as a king, all his children would have been saved. The ego blinds completely. And it turns the person, that becomes the cause of destruction of that person. So ego brings insecurity, ego brings insensitivity, ego brings so much of destruction, attachment, sorrow. Higher the ego, higher is the sorrow. And that's why Guruji always tells us, Guruji means Swami Tejomayanandaji. He says people are worried about BP, but they are not worried about EP. EP is the ego pressure. Ego pressure, the higher ego pressure is, BP also will be high. Because I want everything in control. Ego is a control freak. There is a big problem with ego. The saddest part is one will get kicked and one will go through pain, and then to recover from that becomes more difficult. Everybody would have got kicked somewhere or the other in life because of ego. While one is operating out of ego, no, one doesn't even realize it. One thing, this is how it has to be, full stop. After that comes kick, attack. Then one realizes, oh God, it should not. Why did I insist unnecessary? So the more that person understands this fact, that the lesser my ego, the more in tune with the universe, the more better it is. The ego wants control, ego wants things to go its own way. And so much of insistence and resistance, that is the quality of the ego. So greater ego, greater sorrow. That's the ego pressure. And how to get out of that ego pressure? See, when life gives one beating, no, if I have some punya karma, some good samskars, then what will happen? I will turn within, I will learn to let go, I will seek knowledge, all that I will do. Otherwise, when I am trapped in the ego, when life gives a beating, I become more bitter. Then get into depression, drugs, suicide, what all happens? All this is play of ego. So the lesser the ego is, greater is happiness. If that simple point one understands, forget realization and Brahmagnan, that will come whenever it has to come. But life here becomes more harmonious, more secure, more peaceful.
So the ego in your individual goes up and down.
Yeah.
So then when to control, like, okay, this is, but then you just can't resist.
So the question is, the ego fluctuates through the day.
You're down,
Yeah.
but then you realize also, okay, this is not right.
So that's the moment to surrender. When I realize that this is not right, that's the moment where I need the sadhana which I have done earlier, wherever I am anchoring. So first and foremost point is, I should have an altar of surrender. Right? What is the meaning of altar of surrender? Altar of surrender means where I let go of my ego completely, which means I invoke love. Altar of surrender can be my family, that for the family's harmony, I am doing all this. It is not for me, it is for my family. Or it can be for the community, or it can be my profession, or it can be my country, or it can be highest is God, that I am doing all this dedicated to God. So whenever I am acting with this altar of surrender I have, whenever the ego rises, I need to surrender that, remembering the altar. Then what will happen? The reactions that the ego wants to do will stop. Because this I is what is reacting. How did this person tell this to me? I am doing this, I am doing that. When I say I am surrendering it to the Lord, Bhagwan is the Karta, I am a servant, I am an instrument, then I let go of the ego. So many times, we don't take it personally at all when children, when they are very small, they don't know only anything. So if you are holding a child, if that child kicks you or slaps you, what will happen? Will you say, "Mujhe mara? मैं दिखाता हूँ मैं कौन हूँ." Do we say that? Nothing. We don't take it personally at all. Why? Because we say, "Bachcha, he doesn't know." But when somebody else is doing that, we are not able to say, "Bachcha, he doesn't know." बोल दिया होगा कुछ उसने. नहीं नहीं, he intended it. Okay, that's why he is a child. Because he still doesn't know how to operate out of egolessness and operate out of love. So he's a child, forgive him, let him go. As a role, I want to express something that I need to tell that person, let me tell. But why am I getting disturbed from inside? Because I'm taking it personally. That I got insulted. How did this person tell this to me? बच्चा है, जाने दो. Inside you tell yourself, huh? Don't tell outside, बच्चा है. That person will get more angry with you. Then you will get more angry. That will go on. But the attitude is, I have not taken it personally. So two options are there. One option is, through knowledge I identify that why am I taking it personally? Because My ego wants to react only when I take it personally, not in any circumstance. So I should first identify what did I take personally? Let go of that. Or surrender through devotion, saying that I surrender to Bhagwan. If this is what this person has to respond after giving my best, I will respond in the way I like to respond without reacting. That comes out of love, out of surrender. That what is important to me. So, devotion standpoint or knowledge standpoint, we already spoke, don't take it personally. Or action standpoint, that why am I wasting energy in fighting with all this? My ideal is something else. I want to serve the society. I want to get this done. This is my goal. This is my selfless altar which I am working for this. If this person is behaving immaturely, that is his problem. If I have to learn something out of it, I will learn. Rest of it, drop it. So all the three attitudes I can take. Attitude of knowledge, attitude of surrender, attitude of service. And I am here only to serve. If this person is not understanding, that is their problem. So that's how the ego, once I learn to surrender the ego, see, this is in the world outside. But consciously I have to also anchor. That's the reason why the altar of surrender is important. The altar of surrender is something which will invoke love in my heart. Love is the only altar at which ego completely drops. At other altars, the ego doesn't drop. It drops for some time, again it comes up. Parents can sacrifice so much for children. Why? Because they love. Their ego doesn't come into play. But as the child grows, the parent ego also grows, child ego also grows, then there is a problem. Then conflict happens. Till the child ego, parent ego was not there, there was love. Then there is no conflict. And hence that is, we need to identify what is the altar of love. Where I can let go, I can forget myself. Which is why devotion is such an important aspect. Because with human beings, sometimes it is difficult. Because they operate out of ego, so their operating out of ego provokes my ego also. If I am not anchored properly, my ego also gets provoked. And which is why to surrender to another human being becomes difficult. Even a guru-shishya relationship is like that, difficult, where the shishya has to surrender completely is not easy. Slowly that happens. That's why Gurudev always used to say that have a guru who is not in the living form. Why? Because human mind is such that human mind will find fault in the guru also. Because one will operate only from one's level. If I am operating out of the body level or the ego level, I will see the guru also as the ego only. Why did the guru do this? To me he told to do this, to that person he told to do like that. There's partiality. And then the guru is getting angry. Yeah. In school teacher, I'm not meaning they are equal to guru, but I'm just saying that the student has that comparison. So one will see this partiality, this happened, that happened. Guru got angry. Guru is not giving me attention. He smiled at that person, he didn't smile at me. So it goes on comparing and find fault with the guru also. That's why Gurudev said, have a guru who is not in the living form, because then you can tune up to the teaching, not to the individual traits of the behavior. And no, but how will that guru guide if he is not in the physical form? That's the point. Guru is not a body in any case. Guru is the Atma only, which is Guru is Brahman. So Guru exists. No, Vivekananda is not there in a physical body. Will he guide me still? He will guide. Because Vivekananda is the altar through which you are connecting to Ishvara only. Ishvara will guide through the teachings of Vivekananda, and then you tune up. You will hear in your voice, inner voice, conscience, all that will happen. No, but we still need a physical form, Okay, then Bhagavan will bring a form also, don't worry. Till then you have a Shraddha in the form, the Guru is not in the form. It's very strange, this human mind is, If you tell that human mind, take a form, I don't believe in form worship. Okay, believe in Guru is not in form now, but I need a form. So much of contradiction one lives in. Anyway, the point is that ego must surrender. Whichever method helps us, I need to surrender. And don't ever worry about the world. One of the reasons why ego sustains is this thought that others are not giving up their ego, why should I give up my ego? Where are the others? As long as the ego is there, then only others are there, no? When I surrender the ego, there is no other, there is only one truth. And I am here to realize that truth. No, but they are not listening. Oh, their karma, Baba, let them do. You do your best, that's it. As long as I am on the path of reducing the ego, I have to focus only on that much. Then suddenly I will realize that what I was thinking, the other, there is no other at all.
Assuming a hypothetical case that everybody becomes egoless, then how do beings function?
What has to function? Harmony only will be there after that. Beautiful harmony will be there. No, think about it. If everybody is egoless, happily one will function. No, all this resistance, exploitation, and then anger and jealousy, none of that will be there. So what will be there? Functioning will be fantastic. You are happy, I am happy, we are operate out of love. Beautiful. That is called happily living ever after.
But then how the evolution happens?
No need. You have reached peak of evolution. Egolessness is the peak of evolution. Everybody is evolved. It is like saying कि सब लोग पुणे पहुंच गए, अब क्या करेंगे? अरे your destination was Pune, so you reached. Now you enjoy there. Do I have to be constantly in evolution mode? No, I need to reach somewhere. No, I can't be constantly on a journey. I have to reach the destination. अब पहुंच गए. Now live happily. How will the world go on? People are more concerned if everybody realizes how will the Srishti go on. Srishti goes on even without ego, please remember. Ego is not running the Srishti in any case. Ishvara is running the Srishti. Ego thinks it is running the Srishti, so it has a big problem कि मेरे बिना ये कैसे चलेगा, तुम्हारे बिना बहुत अच्छे से चलेगा. Meaning without ego, more happily it will live. And if everybody can somehow come to that state, wow, wow, wow. That happiness will go beyond heaven also. Because even in heaven they have ego. Indra Bhagwan's asan keeps shaking like that all the time. Some rishi has to do little tapasya, Indra Bhagwan's asan will start shaking. Gone. This will be egoless state, complete freedom. No ego at all. Best state. But that is, as you said, it is hypothetical. It is like saying if everybody becomes PhD. No, each one is at a different level of evolution. Each one will come, but ultimately each one will reach there. One will discover that I am Brahman. Whether one likes it or not, one knows it or not, that's where one will come to. Only difference is right now I have a choice to do it consciously. That I realize that ego is the cause of my sorrow. Nobody else is the cause of my sorrow. I can take it personally, then I will feel miserable. Otherwise, nobody can make me miserable. Okay, so that ends our chapter 11. My suggestion is please read chapter 12 and come. I had told you to read this 11 and come. Read chapter 12 and come next class. Because there are 6 schools of philosophy. Theistic, theist, atheistic, atheist, theistic, atheist, all that. One will get confused in that. So if you read a little and come before, then it will become easy. The means to drop the ego is there in the next chapter. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.